Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Unrestricted Sports. Today we are covering day 9 of the TLL's Championship Series. Before we get into the video today, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Really does help out the channel. And yeah, I'll let Nolan get into it.
Yeah, so last game, we saw the two undefeated teams go at it in the Whipsnakes and Archers, in which I thought was going to be a much closer game than we saw. The Whipsnake kind of ran away with this one. It seems to be their game from the second quarter on. Ended up winning 17-11. Again, another dominant face-off performance from Joe Nardella, but we'll get into that when we get to the Whipsnakes. I think it's more important to go over what went wrong with the Archers. Like I mentioned, a big part of that was face-offs. But what else went wrong for them? Obviously, both teams had a very high shooting percentage. But I think we can attribute some of these Archers' mistakes to defensive play. Obviously, you have to give credit to the Whipsnakes for having a very high-powered offense, but defensively speaking, not a very solid game. Very lackadaisical plays at points, to the point where it'd be a ground ball in a very important situation, and it would seem like the Whipsnakes would have no problem getting to that ball. So not much in terms of problems with the Archers, and more so just effort plays coming from the Whipsnakes, and offensive dominance. In terms of offensive statistics, Ryan Ambler with another big game. Grant Ament was a little quiet in comparison to what we've seen in the past from him. Christian Mazzone seems to keep sneaking his way onto the statistic leaderboard with his 2 goals. And then you got a couple of goals coming from Schreiber, Holman, and Manny as well. But again, like I've mentioned in the previous video, or not the previous video, but the previous time we talked about the Archers, relatively quiet series from Marcus Holman. Goals-wise and assists-wise. Obviously, Grant Ament is there taking some of those shots, but very quiet for him, which is unusual to say the least. Again, dual goalie matchup here. Drew Adams and Adam Gittleman, same save percentage. Adams allowed 9, Gittleman allowed 8. But yeah, relatively strong games from them. But moving on to the Whipsnakes, in where we saw just how good of an idea it was for Stagnita to keep that defense intact and just try to rebuild that offense, because boy, did it work. Like I mentioned, Joe Nardella, dominant day, 21 for 30 on the dot, 70%. Kyle Bernlohr, 45% save percentage, continuing to prove he's the best goalie in the league. No doubt in my mind about that. But like I mentioned, defensively speaking, they're stout. Joe Nardella had an insane day on ground balls. Whipsnakes dominated the Archers 38-19 in that statistical category. But moving on to that Whipsnakes high-powered offense that we were talking about, they finished the championship series with a plus 24 goal differential. The only team to finish with a positive goal differential besides the Whipsnakes was the Chrome, and they never played the Whipsnakes, and they only finished with plus 5 goal differential. So that just goes to show how high-powered and how high-scoring this Whipsnakes offense is. Their closest game was the first game against the Redwoods, which was a goal differential of 4. But in this game, I think we need to get right into offensive statistic leaders. And jumping off the page is Matt Rambo, former MVP. He had 10 points this game, 2 goals, 8 assists. Many of those going to John House, Zed Williams, of course. Chanachuk had one, Carlson had one, and Brad Smith as well. So dominance from Matt Rambo, proving that getting goals isn't the only thing that he can do very well. Obviously, adding 8 assists is a very important statistic. But besides that, there really isn't much to cover in this particular game besides just Whipsnakes' dominance. Archers are a good team. It just showed that this Whipsnakes offense has evolved to a different beast than it was last season. Obviously, with this being the last and only game today, that today being August 2nd, the last game before we get to the elimination bracket, we finally have seedings. And seedings-wise, we have Whipsnakes at 1, Chrome at 2, Archers at 3, Redwoods at 4, followed by the Water Dogs, Atlas, and Chaos. Really close battle between 5 and 6 between the Water Dogs and Atlas, but with the Water Dogs beating the Chaos and the Atlas losing to the Redwoods, that pushed the Water Dogs up a spot. And with Archers losing by so much to the Whipsnakes, Chrome crawls its way into the second spot. So, matchups for this elimination bracket. Very, very, very interesting seedings here. Obviously, Whipsnakes get that first round bye. But after that, it's number 4 seeded Redwoods against the number 5 seeded Water Dogs in what should be a very, very close game. Players wise and just general team breakdown wise, I would expect the Redwoods to take that one. But obviously, with talent being on that Water Dogs roster, I wouldn't be shocked if the Water Dogs made it past the Redwoods. But then again, the winner of this game moves on to play the Whipsnakes, so I see whoever winning having a tough defeat coming in the second round to the Whipsnakes. Coming in our next game, we have the Chrome playing the Chaos, number 2 versus number 7. I see the Chrome taking this one handedly. Obviously, Chaos haven't really lived up to what people had thought they would live up to, and Chrome is having quite the Chrome back year and dominance, to say the least, offensively speaking, and defensively. Their defense improved drastically with their draft picks and signings and stuff like that. Again, I think Blazer Raven will play well. It's just more of a offensive and defensive lack of, not consistency, but just lack of effort coming from that Chaos offense and defense, which will give the Chrome the edge, in my opinion. And then coming in, obviously, are at the 3 seed and 6 seed are the Archers and Atlas, respectively. On paper, the Archers are the better team, and most people would take the Archers to win that game. But the Atlas have the skill to win that game. Personally, being an Atlas fan, I would love to see the Atlas win. But then again, the Archers are very dominant. But coming off of that very, very tough, brutalizing loss to the Whipsnakes, anything is truly possible. So I could definitely see a game in which the Atlas could take it from the Archers. But only time will tell. We will see those games on Tuesday night, August 4th. And we will be back to cover all 3 of those games at that time.
All right, guys, so that about wraps it up for today's episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it does help out a lot, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.